Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning all. I'm Rizla Ersa Romadhia from Culture. Uh, we'll be explain about the flexibility of integrated learning and the requirements for integrated thematic learning. So the first one is flexibility of integrated thematic learning. According to Murphy et 2070, flexibility in learning can be described as follows. The first one is spontaneous integrated learning, and the second is planned integrated learning. So for the spontaneous integrated learning is a learning process. The teacher can link other material with the material being taught. For example, a science teacher will discuss the subject of water. She intends to integrate this subject with other subjects in science and relevant subjects in other subjects. For this purpose, before the subjects is presented, the teacher plans and finds conceptual relationship between a subject. For example, in the conceptual linkage between science and subjects on the subject of water use and the subject of water cycle. Meanwhile, in the relationship between subjects, for example, science subject of water use is associated with social studies subject of natural occurrence. Second is plain integrated learning. In plain integrated learning is carried out by a certain theme and is carried out every certain period of time. Through the planning process, the teacher designed from the beginning of um, learning, and all activities are directed to create cohesiveness. And the teacher chooses a theme and arrange the theme based on the time. Suppose teacher plans an integrated lesson on Thursday each week with a different theme. For example, a grade 4 teacher writes the subject of Earth to present a unified subject. For this purpose, the teacher makes the subject for this purpose like as the core of the uh, learning. Basically, the steps of integrated learning are much different from learning in general, which includes the planning stage, implementation stage, and evaluation stage. Only integrated learning steps are not static but dynamic, flexible, and can be accommodated from various learning methods. Okay, the next one about the requirements for integrated thematic learning. In integrated thematic learning, there are several conditions that must exist um, in its implementation, including the first one, in provisional foresight of teacher in anticipating the use of various possible inter or intra-fold conceptual linking cues, and the second is mastery of materials and methodology in the fields of study that need to be linked, and the third is educational insight. Academic teacher was alert to take advantage of every decision and action. Okay, for the first one is provisional foresight of teacher in anticipating the use of various possible inter or interfold. It is professional foresight of teacher include the first one is selecting interesting topics and then choose materials that are really fun and then trying to relate to connect with other subjects. Source of PGSD Development Team 2001. Thus, in implementation of integrated learning, provisional foresight of teacher is needed in mastering the material for the fields of study that need to be linked and determine learning materials that are in accordance with the development of children. So the second is mastery of materials. The teacher is in conducting integrated learning should master the material in the fields of study that are integrated in each lesson so that when learning takes place, the teacher will not experience difficulties when students ask questions related to the learning material being studied. This is because teacher has mastered all of the subject, all of the materials in each of the fields of study being taught. So, moreover, in integrated learning, there is more than one field of study that is delivered so that the method chosen must be in accordance with the fields of study that are delivered by teacher. The third and the last one is educational insight that can make teacher was alert to take advantage of every decision. Uh, Integrated learning is believed to bring benefits to the achievement of instructional and nurturing effects. In the implementation of integrated learning, it is also necessary to have dictional insight owned by teacher, so that with this insight, the teacher can act alert to the possibilities that occur in taking advantage of every decision and action. This the teacher's alert behavior can provide real existence to the achievement of the overall goals of education. This decision and action can be in the form of producing various fields of study in one package, or can be develop creative, objective, and logical thinking skills so that the implementation of it learning will be more meaningful for the student and achieve the full goals of education in the form of instructional and accompaniment. So these lines are the sum up detail from specific to the general so that they become a complete and comprehensive concept, like knowledge, understanding. The methodological use of this model learning strategy can develop students' ability to creativity more effectively, because this approach guides uh, students uh, to open broad and deep insight and ways of thinking through understanding concept across disciplines. Okay, that is all about my explanation. So thank you for your attention. I'm Rizla Ersa Romadhia. I am with Integrated Thematic Learning. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.